rich and chewy, to creamy and crunchy, to licked in chocolate. The cookie. It was once a humble homemade treat before being boxed and branded by corporate America.
Chocolate chip cookies.
And then transformed into a multi-billion-dollar industry that today outsells supermarket sales of donuts and chewing gum combined. The history of the cookie is double stuffed with bold bakers, technical innovators, and famous cookie capitalists. Coming up on American Eats, cookies. After school, at Christmas, for a special birthday. Very often when we've got the urge for a sweet treat, we reach for a cookie.
I just love them. All the kids do.
Chocolate or peanut butter,
And mix.
marshmallow or cream filled,
Oreo.
homemade or store-bought, everyone loves cookies.
Cookie Man, ready to protect your Chips Ahoy cookies from greedy monsters. Chips Ahoy, the 16-chip chocolate chip cookie from Nabisco.
But behind the memories of childhood cookies is a nearly $4 billion a year industry, with everyone from little girls in brown uniforms to elves competing for your cookie loyalty.
Now, do you believe in elves?
Honey, for another cookie, I believe you're Elvis.
Wow!
Americans gobble down about 1.5 billion pounds of cookies every year, but the origin of the cookie is shrouded in mystery. Most believe it goes back to the ancient Romans.
And let's say they were baking a cake and they wanted to test the heat of the oven. They could take a little piece of the dough and slap it against the wall of the hearth oven as a test. And when they took it off, they found they had yet another kind of food.
But these small cakes didn't contain the one thing that made cookies so sweet: sugar.
Sometime in the very distant past, a small amount of sugar started coming on the market, principally in the Middle East. And Arab traders carried that product into Europe. And with the availability of sugarcane, the modern cookie as we know it came into being.
These sweet, small cakes were popular in 16th century Europe and made their way over to America by European colonists.
The word itself, cookies, is really German-Dutch that came in through the United States, through New York. And because New York played such an important role in America in the 19th century, it is the word cookie that became dominant.
Until the mid-19th century, cookies were baked mostly in the home. The only commercial cookies available to the public were sold in very limited quantities by small, independently operated bakeries. These early American bakeries adapted European recipes for breads, cakes, and pies to local ingredients. Though cookies were mostly a homemade holiday treat, the demand for commercial cookies would change when America started to become more urbanized in the mid-19th century.
If you're in a tenement building, there are no ovens. And so consequently, all of your baking has to be done outside the home.
With the demand for mass-produced cookies came new technology. First was what was called the real oven. It was a rotating device with shelves that allowed dozens of cookies to be baked evenly at the same time.
So you genuinely have a continuous oven that produces cookies in a very short period of time. It's the application of the assembly line to cookie production.
And that sort of revolutionized the industry as far as bakers were concerned.
And the next revolution came in 1892 with a machine that could make a cookie still popular more than a century later: the Fig Newton.
The Fig Newton was created right after an invention called the funnel and funnel baking system was created. An outside baking mechanism with an inside baking mechanism. The inside would hold the filling, the outside would then hold the dough. It would be pressed out into a long roll. It would then be cut and then baked.
So that it was possible for fig jam to be baked inside of a sweet dough.
How the Fig Newton came by its name has caused some confusion over the years.
The Fig Newton's origin started out where the Kennedy Biscuit Company was naming its famous cookies after nearby towns in Massachusetts.
And Newton, Massachusetts was the town that the cookie was named after. Not Sir Isaac Newton, as some people think.
The Fig Newton was a hit, but only on the East Coast where it was sold. If the growing cookie industry was going to expand nationwide, it would have to think bigger. And in 1891, a group of the country's most prominent bakers did just that.
Several independent bakers around the city decided to form trusts so that they can buy products together, they can market products together, and thus save money and as well as make more money.
They united under the leadership of a Chicago attorney named Adolphus Green, who helped them form the American Biscuit and Manufacturing Company. By some accounts, Green wasn't very likable, and he knew very little about the baking business. But he was a shrewd operator. When another group of bakers tried to organize and compete, Green engaged in an all-out price war with the competition.
They competed for a number of years and then decided that it would be much better if they united. In this way, they could control a much larger field and wouldn't have to compete with each other. So they created the National Biscuit Company in 1898.
114 bakers strong, they chose Green to run the company. Their first goal?
They needed a particular product. They needed something that they could call their own and give it some identity.
On December 27, 1898, the National Biscuit Company registered the trademark for their first product, an unsalted soda cracker they called the You Need a Biscuit. When pronounced slowly, You Need a Biscuit provided a great marketing gimmick.
It was a urban phenomenon. And in urban areas, people could not make biscuits on their own, and they could buy them at their store, but if you bought You Need a Biscuits, they actually cost less.
They had a few test names. One of them was Nabisco, which was a play off the National Biscuit Company. After a review of the name, they decided the name really wasn't friendly or soft enough, so they abandoned it and went back to Nita.
You Need a Biscuit genuinely creates a cookie revolution in America by creating a product that previously been generic and now getting a trademark name, and that is really the invention of the commercial cookie as we know it today.
The production was significant for another reason as well.
You Need a Biscuit did have a particular packaging, and the packaging was unique.
The inner seal package was a system of interfolded layers of wax paper that held the cookies, which were then placed in a cardboard box.
You could save it, didn't have to open it immediately. You could consume it when you wanted to.
The You Need a Biscuit was a huge success, selling 10 million packages per month nationwide by 1900. Next up, the National Biscuit Company added a very popular bakery cookie to their repertoire, the sugar wafer. Revisiting a name they had rejected earlier, they named this cookie a Nabisco. When the cookie appeared in June 1901, a company spokesman made an extraordinary declaration.
He called it one of the major gastronomic achievements of the human race, which I would say was probably an overstatement.
Nabisco's dainty wafers with delicious creamy filling.
The Nabisco sugar wafer was an instant success, but for one of its next cookies, the National Biscuit Company wouldn't just adapt a popular recipe, they would tap into one of the most popular activities of the day, the circus. And a name synonymous with the circus and selling, P.T. Barnum. Barnum was the inspiration for the marketing behind an animal-shaped cookie.
It is Nabisco that made them famous in the United States in 1902, coming out with Barnum's animal crackers. And again, advertising won the day with huge amounts of publicity, particularly associated with the circus.
What was innovative about animal crackers, as we still know them, is that they were boxed cleverly by Nabisco. They were boxed in little red boxes that looked like Barnum and Bailey animal cages to appeal to kids. And, you know, the string that goes on top, those are meant to be hung on Christmas trees.
Originally conceived as a seasonal cookie, the Barnum's animal crackers were so well received, they were marketed year-round, almost from their introduction. While the name implies a connection with the most famous circus of the day, there wasn't one. P.T. Barnum, who died more than a decade before, never profited from the cookie that bears his name. But it was this marketing ploy that would change cookies forever.
Animal crackers were targeted directly at children, and it was a lesson that the cookie industry learned immediately.
Now, nearly a quarter of all cookies are sold to homes with kids between 6 and 12. From Newtons to double stuffed to Nutter Butter, these days cookies come in all different shapes, sizes, and flavor combinations. According to A.C. Nielsen, there are more than 10,800 varieties of packaged cookies on the market, but they all started at the same place.
Well, technically, everything is a derivative of some sort of sugar-type cookie. Its simplest form is butter, sugar, flour, and then it's evolved into what you can add to it, what you can change to that recipe to make it better.
Hey, those are chocolate chip cookies, my favorite.
When cookie manufacturing was beginning in the mid-19th century, finding things to add wasn't so simple. Part of the problem, ingredients we take for granted today just weren't available at the time. Marshmallow had to be extracted from the sap of a plant. Peanut butter had to be handmade. Even that old standard oatmeal presented challenges.
Most oatmeal cookies call for the oat flakes. And it wasn't until the 1860s and 70s that the technology came along to flatten the oats. Before then, you had steel-cut oats, which were very, very hard.
And then there was chocolate, or the lack thereof.
Milk chocolate was, at that time, a luxury item. It's very expensive. It was pricey. It was, available for sure, but it was not available to quote-unquote, the masses.
But that would change when chocolate pioneer Milton Hershey got into the business in 1894. He was producing cocoa powder and baking chocolate.
These 10-pound bars of coating chocolate are for the use of confectioners and bakers. Here's a machine that not only wraps the chocolate, but prints its own labels.
And by 1900, Hershey was selling 5-cent chocolate bars, setting the stage for a chocolate cookie revolution.
I believe the taste for chocolate and the chocolification of the American cookie was coming along to take over the market.
In 1908, the Sunshine Biscuit Company introduced a simple yet inspired product that combined chocolate cookies with a vanilla cream to create a compact sweet sandwich. The new cookie was called the Hydrox Biscuit Bonbon.
Do you like cream filling? Sure. Well, I'm the fluffy cream filling that comes between two chocolatey cookies. Wow.
The Sunshine Company wanted to instill a feeling of purity and goodness in the name of their new cookie. They decided that water was the purest of nature's gifts and looked to its basic elements, hydrogen and oxygen, to create the name Hydrox.
Hydrox from Sunshine.
The Hydrox cookie came along right at the beginning of the era when chocolate cookies were getting hot. It was initially quite popular. Of course, Nabisco noticed that Hydrox was selling well. They had a big budget, and so lo and behold, a cookie came out in 1912 that was very similar to the Hydrox.
'Cause a kid'll eat the middle of an Oreo first and say the chocolate cookie outside's will last.
Soon after they launched it, by 1912, they took over the #1 position from Hydrox.
Oreo cookies really outsold through advertising and through commercial product marketing.
They say on television it's America's favorite cookie.
Hydrox cookies finally went out of business in the 1990s.
The Oreo would go on to become the best-selling cookie of all time and spark generations of debate on how to eat it.
You break it apart and it smells gooey, We'll attempt to put like 3 in my mouth at the same time. When I eat an Oreo, I like to smell it first and smell that sugary goodness because it really intensifies the flavor.
You eat your Oreos with milk. When it gets desperate, I dip it in water. I really would.
With the success of the Oreo, Nabisco created another chocolate-based cookie in 1913, the legendary Malamar.
Malamar is a very special cookie. They have a graham cracker bottom, and they have a marshmallow top, and they are enrobed in dark chocolate.
The enrobing process that made it a candy-like kind of cookie unit, that was brand new, really cutting edge.
Despite being on cookie making's cutting edge, the Malamar was still only as advanced as the technology at the time.
The problem with the Malamars is that when the temperature heats up, the chocolate would melt, and so Malamars are only consumed during winter months and not sold during the summer months. And I think that's a marketing ploy. There is no reason why you could not, with today's technology, create a chocolate that would survive during the summer if you chose to do so.
But Malamars aren't the only cookies to be sold seasonally.
Here are the Girl Scouts of America.
Juliette Gordon Lowe, a wealthy activist for women's rights, founded the Girl Scouts in 1912.
She felt very strongly that the girls of the day were not being given a full spectrum of options in their life.
So Lowe offered traditionally male pastimes like sailing and hiking to the girls.
Happy memories to be carried into womanhood.
But to help fund their organization, the Scouts turned to what was traditionally a very female activity, baking.
Our first cookie sale was in 1917 in Muskogee, Oklahoma, out of the school cafeteria.
But they weren't boxed the way we think of them today. Their mothers made them, or they made them under the guidance of their mothers, because this, after all, was a girl's project.
In 1922, a standard recipe for sugar cookies was distributed to 2,000 Girl Scouts around the country. It cost them about 5 cents to make a dozen cookies, which sold for a quarter, and all the proceeds went back to the local troops.
The idea grew, and by 1936, the national organization had a license with bakers, and we began a national sale. The interesting thing about the cookie sale is it is a girl program. So at the troop level, the girls decide for themselves how many cookies they need to sell in order to meet the goals of the year. The girls would go door to door, taking orders and delivering cookies.
By 1940, there were 14 bakeries throughout the country licensed to make Girl Scout cookies. One of the bakers introduced a version called Cookie Mints, which went on to become Thin Mints.
The most popular by far is the Thin Mint.
Today, only 2 companies are licensed to make Girl Scout cookies.
The Girl Scouts essentially market the packaging and maintain the rights to the recipes themselves.
Like the Malamar, marketing for Girl Scout cookies is based on availability. Girl Scout cookies are sold only from October through April. If you miss the season, your cookie cravings won't be satisfied for another 6 months.
You cannot buy Girl Scout cookies out of season. There is only one season for Girl Scout cookies. They're not available year-round. It's part of our marketing.
That strategy has worked pretty well. Today, annual cookie sales are estimated to exceed $600 million.
Thank you. I think we've been smart cookies about that, haven't we?
By the 1930s, Oreo was the best-selling cookie in America, just like it is today. But today's best-known cookie, the chocolate chip, hadn't even been invented. That would all change in the mid-1930s, when a small-time restaurant owner would hit the cookie big time, quite literally, by accident. Her name was Mrs. Ruth Wakefield, and the restaurant was the Toll House Inn. Ruth Wakefield and her husband Kenneth bought the Toll House in 1930 and set about turning it into an inn and fine restaurant. From the beginning, Mrs. Wakefield was a stern taskmaster.
Oh, yes. In fact, we were inspected every day before we went on the floor. And if your shoelaces were dirty, you knew it.
When it came to baking desserts for the restaurant, Mrs. Wakefield was as exacting with her recipes as she was with her staff, usually.
She was baking, her usual cookie was just a simple butter cookie. Butter and sugar and flour and a little bit of salt. And she decided that she wanted to make a chocolate version of the cookie. And she didn't have her usual baking chocolate at hand, so she cut up a bar of Nestle's chocolate, a bittersweet chocolate.
Mrs. Wakefield expected the chocolate bits to melt throughout the cookies, creating a uniformly chocolate treat.
Instead, to her surprise, she found that the chocolate bits retained their identity and stayed in the cookie, just as she had thrown them in. Like a lot of ingenious inventions, it was a kind of happy accident.
Ruth Wakefield had created the chocolate chip cookie. But why didn't the chocolate melt?
The idea behind it is technology in the making of the chocolate. The amount of fat content will determine at what temperature or when it would actually melt.
The Nestle bar had less fat in it than regular baker's chocolate, and the less fat, the longer it will take to melt. Instead of ditching the cookies and starting from scratch, Mrs. Wakefield decided to serve them.
I believe when she first made it, it was called the Toll House Chocolate Crunch Cookie, and she didn't like the cookie at that point. Okay, they said that she didn't even want to make it anymore, but the staff in the kitchen loved it, and they kept on making it, and it ended up becoming famous.
The recipe was published in a Boston newspaper, and between the published recipe and the amount of chocolate being bought for the inn, regional sales of Nestle's semi-sweet chocolate bar increased dramatically. So Nestle struck a deal with Mrs. Wakefield.
The Nestle's company decided to print her recipe on the back of their chocolate bars in exchange for a lifetime supply of chocolate for her baking of her cookies.
At first, Nestle offered scored chocolate bars, easier to break into chips for baking. And then, in 1939, a revolutionary new product was introduced: chocolate morsels, the first commercial chocolate chip. Within the first years, sales soared, and Mrs. Wakefield continued to receive her free chocolate chips with her recipe on the back of the package.
The Toll House cookie has changed the American repertoire of cookies completely.
Chocolate chip cookies! Yo-ho-ho!
With the recipe printed on the Toll House morsels bag, the chocolate chip cookie became the most popular cookie to make in America.
What's happened is chocolate chips appear in all kinds of cookies. I mean, they're in oatmeal cookies, they're in dark chocolate cookies, they're in peanut butter cookies. So any cookie, it seems, can be made better.
So it's no surprise that by 1963, the giant cookie manufacturers wanted a piece of the action.
Nabisco came out with Chips Ahoy. It was their way of trying to move into the market of Toll House chocolate chip cookies.
Originally called Nabisco Chocolate Chip, it was renamed in 1964 and then reformulated in 1965 as a 16-chip cookie. Other commercial cookies followed.
Soon as we put in enough chips, you holler, okay? Wow!
Despite the availability of commercial chocolate chip cookies, the morsels are as popular as ever. And Nestle no longer has a singular hold on the marketplace. Other companies came out with their own morsels, like Ghirardelli, which began making chips in the late 1960s. The chocolate chips they use contain less cocoa butter than a traditional bar, so the chips retain their shape. The chocolate is tempered through a series of multiple heating and cooling processes, giving the final chips the right texture and gloss. Once the chocolate is ready, it's deposited through a die plate, which creates the individual chips. After 3 or 4 minutes, the chips exit the cooling tunnel and are scraped from the metal belt before being packed into the pouches. Ghirardelli produces more than 25 billion chips a year, thanks in no small part to the innovation of Mrs. Wakefield. But the history of chocolate chip cookies would not be complete without this man, Famous Amos.
I don't consider myself a baker because, you know, all I make are chocolate chip cookies. It's one of the simplest recipes in existence. So making chocolate chip cookies is no great feat. I always tell people, you can read, you can make chocolate chip cookies. You know?
But selling them is a different matter. In 1974, Wally Amos was a Hollywood talent manager, and he was getting a little tired of the daily grind. Amos had been baking chocolate chip cookies for years based on the Toll House recipe.
I realized that if I made them, I could have them whenever I wanted them. And then I'd bake them and share them with a group of friends within the industry.
One day, a friend suggested he sell them. His reaction was swift.
I'm all excited. You know, I've made a decision to do something. I'm going to open a store selling chocolate chip cookies. And one thing led to another. And then I had to raise money, and I had some friends of mine.
To raise the $25,000 he needed for startup, he turned to some famous names he knew in the industry, like Marvin Gaye.
I did the whole thing in 5 months. From the time that I said I'm going to open a store selling chocolate chip cookies, and 5 months later, I was selling cookies. I opened that store at 7181 Sunset Boulevard.
On opening day, March 10th, 1975, over 1,500 people showed up, stopping traffic on Sunset Boulevard.
The first day of business, people were lined up, waiting to come in the store, and it just kept building and building. The execution was flawless, really, and the product was exemplary.
Or Wally Amos's appeal was about his recipe, in that his cookie contained more chocolate chips than other cookies.
Chocolate chip cookies.
It had more butter. It was more of a softer cookie.
You know, it was homemade, handmade, with lots of ingredients, more ingredients than any other cookie.
Famous Amos expanded rapidly, outgrowing his old store, which closed in 1988. And on March 10th, 1989, Wally Amos officially separated from the company, which is now owned by Kellogg's. But his affair with the chocolate chip cookie never ended. Today, he owns Chip and Cookie, a small company dedicated to the fresh-baked appeal of home cooking.
Chocolate chip cookie is a symbol of homemade cookies. I think it is that feeling of love and togetherness that one gets when they think of chocolate chip cookies.
Ever since the success of animal crackers in the early 20th century, cookies are for kids was the prevailing marketing mantra.
And virtually all cookies from that point on were targeted for children.
But in the 1950s, an entrepreneur saw an obvious hole in the market. After all, grown-ups need cookies too. This business visionary wasn't a Madison Avenue manager or a corporate cookie executive, but a red-haired, green-eyed Connecticut mother who lived at a place called Pepperidge Farm.
My name is Margaret Rudkin. I'm the president of Pepperidge Farm Bakery, which I started 16 years ago and which my family and I own and manage today.
The Pepperidge Farm Company started in 1937 by a woman named Margaret Rudkin. And Margaret lived in Fairfield, Connecticut with her family on a property that was actually called Pepperidge Farm. It was named that for the pepperidge trees that grew along the drive. And Margaret and her husband had 3 sons, one of whom was very food allergic, so he couldn't eat many commercial foods. And Margaret decided that she was going to start baking him some homemade bread that was very healthy and used great ingredients and no preservatives.
Rudkin's bread was so helpful, her son's doctor prescribed it to other patients, and soon she was selling it in local grocery stores. Emphasizing quality, her bread sold for 25 cents a loaf, more than double the cost of others. Pepperidge Farm quickly became successful, selling 1 million loaves in just 3 years.
By the early 1950s, Margaret Rudkin's bread business was very well established and successful, and she was being heralded as quite an entrepreneur in America. Well, she was convinced that since consumers had shown their enthusiasm for a premium bread product, that they would also like a premium cookie offering.
On a trip to Europe with her husband in 1951, she fell in love with some cookies produced by the bakery of Belgium royalty, the Delacroix Company.
They were wonderful, delicate cookies with very fine chocolate and very fine ingredients, and she wanted to buy the rights to produce those cookies under the Pepperidge Farm banner back in America.
Rudkin made a deal with Delacroix. She could use their recipes to manufacture cookies in the United States.
Once Margaret had gotten the rights, she had to come back to the challenge of actually getting them produced in her cookie plant. She actually created a curved cookie line that had a big loop on one side, and the conveyor belts that carried the cookies had to just go around the bend so that the cookie production equipment could fit into the plant that she had available.
Using high-end ingredients like imported chocolate and real butter instead of shortening, Pepperidge Farm's distinctive cookies were introduced in 1955, selling for 59 to 69 cents in an elegant white bag.
Their concept was, we're going to hit the gourmet market and produce some European-style cookies that are a step up, and they really did dominate that end of the market for quite some time.
In 1956, Pepperidge Farm launched an adult-oriented $200,000 ad campaign starring an old-fashioned salesman named Titus Moody.
Got to deliver Maggie Rudkin's Pepperidge Farm bread.
The campaign would last for almost 40 years.
Pepperidge Farm still remembers simple things make better cookies.
She called him the country gentleman. He was the local vendor you would go down to buy you 2 or 3 things a week from. And that was the idea, that if we can make people remember a simpler time, the home baking aspect of it, that would naturally translate into a better, fresher, home, made from scratch type cookie. Even though it didn't say that, that was the idea behind the marketing.
My favorite, a full bag.
To emphasize their sophisticated roots, the cookies were named after European locales like Brussels, Bordeaux, Geneva, and Naples.
The Naples cookie was an open face cookie. It had the bottom layer of biscuit, and then it had this very rich Belgian chocolate in a layer on the top. But what happened was, when they went to distribute the Naples cookies in warmer climates, people started opening the bags and all the cookies were stuck together because the chocolate was melting. And the solution was to put another biscuit on the top and make it a sandwich cookie.
Sinfully rich.
The new and improved Naples was given a new Italian city as a name. Today, Milano is the most popular Pepperidge Farm cookie. 80,000 Milano cookies are produced every minute at this Pennsylvania factory. And the Pepperidge Farm cookie lines run 24 hours a day with automated precision.
What we have here is a full batch of finished Milano dough. The mixer itself holds about 1,200 pound capacity. We mix our Milano doughs about 1,164 pounds a batch. This will run in about 43 minutes. That's our line running speed. This is our Milano depositor. Our dough comes down from our mixing room into the depositor. The depositor deposits the dough at a preset shape and weight onto the oven band. It deposits 132 times a minute, 20 rows, and it runs basically 24 hours a day. After leaving the depositor, the cookies go to a 150-foot oven with a 4.7-minute bake.
After the oven, the cookie base cakes are cooled to 75 degrees. They are then licked with 87-degree tempered chocolate and flipped over in time for each cookie to meet its sandwich partner. A process so proprietary, this part of the factory is off limits to outsiders. After completion, the cookies are packaged.
They come down in 6 lanes in a cup into this machine, which is called a stuffer. The stuffer then deposits 3 cups into every bag. It folds the top over, sprays a glue shot on, and folds it over to make an airtight seal. Once leaving the machine, it then runs across the check weigher to check for weight. Any cookies that do not make the proper weight are ejected off. The rest go to the next station. And this is our finished product.
Pepperidge Farm now sells over $90 million worth of Milanos a year. While Pepperidge Farm found its niche in the cookie marketplace rather quickly, another company took more than 100 years in its bid for success.
The Keebler Company just didn't have any identity of its own.
Part of the reason could have been the company's history.
Godfrey Keebler was a baker in Philadelphia, and he started a little bakery shop in 1853, and by the end of the 19th century, when Keebler had died, the children began to expand the company.
By the 1960s, they started to make a bid for the cookie big time, and in 1968 enlisted legendary ad agency Leo Burnett. Creative director Bob Knoll spearheaded the campaign.
One day, one of the writers came into my office and he said, you know, Keebler sounds like cobbler, and the elves were cobblers. Maybe we should be writing about elves. And I said, yeah, that's a very good idea.
Have you ever wondered where Keebler's chocolate chip cookies come from?
I wrote the first Keebler commercials. Not the best ones, but I wrote the first ones.
Knoll and copywriter Tom Rogers would give Keebler a clear and magical identity.
The lead character was a guy named John J. Keebler, who I called him a Rotarian elf.
However, some people don't believe in elves. They believe in factories. So we keep one handy.
That kind of a Mr. Businessman attitude.
Here, son, calm yourself with one of these.
But just 2 years later, in 1970, John J. Keebler was replaced by Ernie, described by the company as a more fun-loving elf.
Hi, Elmer. Hello, sir. Hey, look at that. Huh?
He's the one who does all the talking.
Who is it?
Ernie Keebler, ma'am.
The elf?
Yes, ma'am?
I don't believe in elves.
Do you like chocolate?
Honey, I live for it.
I love that kind of stuff.
These days, the Keebler elves work for the cereal giant Kellogg's, which bought the company in 2001. But 40 years after their creation, they remain one of the most recognized advertising icons of the 20th century.
Keebler Company built its business on it. And they're doing very well, thank you.
But what about companies without major manufacturing, or elves, to create their cookies?
We provide the ingredients, the formulas, we do all the R&D, we do the packaging specification, and we're kind of a one-stop shop for manufacturing.
From double stuffs to Chips Deluxe, kid-favorite animal crackers to adults-only mint Milanos, cookies are an all-American sweet treat. A $4 billion industry with the major brands taking the major share. But what do you do if your name isn't Nabisco or Keebler and you've got a cookie with no means to mass produce it? You source out to a manufacturer with the equipment, resources, and manpower to make your cookies, known in the industry as a co-packer.
A co-packer is a contract packer that provides services to companies who don't have their own manufacturing ability to be able to make the products we make.
Co-packers make up about 40% of the cookie-making marketplace. And one of the largest co-packers is J&J Snack Food, making everything from the Super Pretzel to Mrs. Good Cookie. Working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, the company churns out some 500 different products a year, including some 4 to 5 million cases of cookies. On any given day, hundreds of thousands of cookies may be running on various lines, including J&J's version of a familiar sandwich cookie.
This machine is a kibbler. What this does, it takes the dough that comes out of the mixer and makes it into little tiny pieces so it fits into the cavities of the die when we're making the cookie. This dough will drop into something called a rotary molder, and that rotary molder will stamp out round sandwich cookies, just the base part before the cream.
1,100 cookies per minute are filled with cream. Once they're sandwiched together, the cookies are packed and ready for distribution. Also running on their line, the cookies of Newman's Own Organics, a company started by Paul Newman's environmentalist daughter, Nell.
I started Newman's Own Organics as a frustrated fundraiser for a small nonprofit. I thought, well, why don't I do what Dad's doing? Try and start a little company that donates its profits to charity and do it a little differently and utilize organic ingredients.
Newman's Own Organics, like many small food companies, does not have the money to build their own factory, which led Newman to J&J Snacks.
We provide the ingredients, the formulas, we do all the R&D, we do the packaging specification, and we're kind of a one-stop shop for manufacturing.
Since 1996, J&J have made the Newman's Own cookie varieties, manufacturing 15 to 20,000 cases a week, but they require special handling.
Because this is an organic product, we maintain all of our ingredients in a separate warehouse. We use separate mixers that are separated from all of our conventional ingredients. And this is to maintain the integrity of the organic product.
For the Fig Newman, the process is more complicated because the cookie is made in several parts, starting with the outer layer.
This is where we mix the flour, the water, so we can make the jacket that gets extruded around the fig.
The filling is made separately from fig paste. Then the cookie dough and the fig filling are put into separate sides of a cold extrusion machine.
We take the fig bar jacket, the dough that we made, and then we take the fig paste filling, and this machine behind me combines the two in a co-extrusion process. So it takes the dough and it puts the filling in between and continuously extrudes a noodle that has both the filling and the jacket.
10 rows of the cookie noodle are sent on a conveyor through an oven. Taking 11 minutes to bake, they are then cut into 1.5-inch pieces. A few boxes from each run are selected for a quality control inspection.
She's going to check the moisture, the water activity, the color, and the filling percent for this product.
The fig jam is removed and weighed. It must equal between 45 and 50% of the total cookie weight.
Filling percentage is really critical to a fig bar because as the cookie cools, all the moisture migrates into the center of the cookie, and we depend on that moisture coming back out into the jacket of the cookie to make it be that soft cookie texture. If the filling percentage is incorrect, we'll get a very hard exterior of the product. You know, we can do our own little taste tests as well in here. They are good. Perfect today.
The cookies that pass are cooled, boxed, and shipped. J&J Snacks does just about everything except eat them. For that, it's all about the cookie-loving population, ever eager for every Newman, Newton, or Nilla, chip, chunk, or chessman.
Everybody has their favorite cookie, and everybody has cookie moments. And so whether you're a baby boomer, you have cookie moments that were probably around the Oreo and probably around Mallow Mars. Kids today, the different variables of cookies now. They're either more fruit-filled or they're covered in something different. So depending upon what age group you are, everyone has a cookie that they can identify with.
Cookies represent love for a lot of people because when you remember your first cookies, when you remember warm, comfortable, friendly moments with family, they're always the cookie.
It was the award or reward food when we were little kids. It's everybody's favorite food.
Twisted or dunked, nibbled or downed in one bite. In the end, it doesn't matter how you eat a cookie, just that you get to gobble up the gooey, chewy goodness. It's an American love affair as old as the first Dutch settlers.
Oh, absolutely. Cookie recipes have been shared forever. Cookies know no boundaries.
I don't know what it is. Everyone loves cookies.